And that is it. Let's do this. No, wait, that's a bad idea. I'm just gonna put it. I don't do this. I'm just gonna put it here. I'm just gonna. Do I put this here? I don't know. I think I'm done. This is the extent of my responsibilities here. Ooh, who is the unicorn? test 1 2. No.
Check, check, check. 1 2 1 2. Hey, check 1. How you doing, Dave? Check 1 2 2 2 1 2. Remember,
Test 1 2. Test.
I switched left and right.
Your microphone sounds great. It's got to be their playback cord. Just can't. I have a little direct box thing here.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2.
Autonomous tomorrow. And here we go. Looks like we got some volume here. Robo Buggy here in the timing heat. Again, Robo Buggy.
Test 1 2.
Robo Buggy now transitioning. Hill 1 to Hill 2. Coming up over that hill. A little bit of a breeze on this beautiful morning here. And they're into the free roll. Good morning, ladies and gents. We are here at Race Day 2019. Just sorting out a couple of the technical details here. This is a timing heat with Robo Buggy. Not running autonomous today due to cloud coverage. They're going to try and go autonomous tomorrow. So it's being controlled by a remote control right there. There is no human inside that buggy. Thank you all for joining us out here. My name is Will Weiner. I have a couple folks here joining me in the booth. Going to be bringing you the women's races getting underway in just a few minutes here. Let's see if they have audio. Are you able to? Do you have anything?
Oh, yeah, I got audio. Okay. Hi, I'm Erin May. I was chairman of CIA in 2009, and I was a pusher and what I like to call a push practice driver. Prior to that, I have driven the course, but mostly I just drove during push practice. I was also design comp chair in 2010, my senior year.
And I'm Brian Arsham. I was AE Pi 2008. I'm also Dietrich College, Social and Decision Sciences. I am currently the Buggy Alumni Association treasurer and one of your commentators for today.
Let's see. Do we have our man in the chute down there, Jordan? We got audio from you. Not yet, but the flash is down there. Jordan Kuhn's going to be giving us the lowdown from the chute. We're in the transition now, Hill 3. We'll get a little bit of an intro to Buggy just after this before we get in the first heat. Again, this is Robo Buggy. There's no human inside that buggy. Normally, there is a human inside the buggy, which you may not know. This is actually robotically controlled. It's not driving autonomous today, but they will be trying to go autonomous tomorrow. Many of the students who are pushing here are also involved with the engineering and design of that buggy. So beyond just the kind of normal buggy engineering, this one is a whole nother level of autonomous driving on top of that.
And it's worth mentioning that we do have 2 autonomous teams this year. So we also have Atlas. They'll be running the timing heat in the men's heat.
We'll get a look at them very shortly.
And they are coming across the finish line now. We don't have any time on that at the moment.
We will be getting timing out there, sorting out stuff, final bits of technical details. It's not yet 8 o'clock on Friday morning of Carnival, so I'm certainly still waking up. So we're getting to that. But yes, thank you very much. Welcome, whether you are tuning in here on WRCT Pittsburgh, CMUTV.org, or joining us here live at the corner of Tech and Frew Street. Nowhere else in the world better to be than this Race Day Prelims 2019. As mentioned, we had the crew introduce themselves a little bit earlier. So let's go ahead and talk about Race Day. We've got the women's races coming up right now. SDC really been dominant for several years here. What do you think is the major stories coming into today?
We have a lot of women's teams. I was looking at the rosters and reflecting on the fact that when I was in school here, we were limited to 2 women's teams per each team, and now we're up to 4, and we have several teams completely filling that roster. So I believe there's 24 women's
total,
teams,
yeah.
and there's 28 men's teams. So it's becoming more even. We're getting more and more women participating in buggy.
I think for me, the biggest story today is actually a little bit about SDC, and you'll notice on the course today that their A-team buggy is a buggy called Bane, which last year rolled as their C-team buggy. Now, Bane has rolled A-team before, back in 2012 and 2013, and it won both men's and women's both of those years. But for those of you who have watched Buggy for a long period of time, at least in the last 10 years, you'll know that SDC's top buggy has been Malice. Last year, their A-team buggy was Inferno. This year, Inferno has seen the course a total of 1 day, back in the first day of rolls in the fall. It has not returned. It may in the future, but not for this year. Malice, I think the original plan was that Malice would be their A-team buggy this year, but it had an incident back in March in the chute during practice rolls, and we have not seen it since. So instead, Bane will be the A-team buggy, and it is a driver who is experienced in Bane. She has driven Bane in the past, so it may not be that big of an issue, but it does take the two fastest buggies that this course has ever seen off of the course. And whether that opens the door to a team like a CIA or a Pica, SIGEP, Fringe, if there's going to be a year that you have a chance to pass SDC, maybe this is it.
Well, and SDC is also rolling a new build. They don't roll a new build every year, but they do have a new one, Vanity, correct?
Yep.
So we'll have to see how she performs. But generally, most teams, when they build a new buggy, they do not roll that buggy as their A-team buggy the first year they roll it. They want to see how it performs.
And just to take even a step back for some people who may be new to Buggy, what you can expect to see here. Let's talk about kind of the course, the transition, some of the terminology we may be using today.
Yeah, so the course starts. This is a relay race. So for those of you who don't know anything at all about Buggy,
Well, the first thing we should mention, if you don't know anything about Buggy, there is a person inside driving it.
Yes.
So everybody who's come to see this, that may not be familiar with CMU, be familiar with Buggy, there is, except for the last heat and the timing heat right before the men's, those are autonomous because this is CMU. But
and which, by the way, for those of you watching on the stream or on the course, we do have a time for Robo Buggy on that one. They put up a 2:52:24. That's a 2:52:24. Anyway.
So yes, there is a person inside, and the whole race revolves around basically the course structure. It's a 0.8 mile course. There's going to be essentially two relayers on the first part, hill 1 and 2, so you'll see them transition from one to the other, and then they'll push the buggy down the hill into what we call the free roll.
Yeah, and when it hits the free roll, this is the driver who's inside the buggy taking control. She usually female, sometimes male, but the driver will has steering, braking in there. She or he will actually be completely in control. There's no pushers, there's no motors, there's no anything in these things. They're completely gravity based. They'll hit a max speed of around 35 miles an hour, give or take.
Which is faster than the speed limit for the road.
Which is
I
faster
always like to point that out.
But so they will go down. It'll be downhill. They will eventually reach a part of the course that we'll refer to as the chute. Now, before they get to there, you'll see a couple of people holding out flags. The first one is known as the transition flag, which is around a stop sign that we'll point out in the during the races as well. And then the second flag is called the chute flag. Both of those are to let the driver give the driver a visual clue as to where they are on the course. So the first flag lets them know they're here. The second flag, the chute flag, lets them know when to turn. And that turn is called the chute. It is essentially a 90-degree turn from Shenley Drive onto Frew Street. When they go through that is also the fastest point of the course. So you'll see, the line that the drivers take and their ability to maneuver that turn could make or break the race for them.
2-minute warning.
All right, 2 minutes. So we got 2 minutes until the start of the race. So I'll go ahead and introduce the rosters here. Again, these are qualifying for finals tomorrow. We have 3 teams competing in this first official race of qualifiers today. In lane 1, we have CIAB. On hill 1 is Aurelia Barnett. Hill 2, Isabel Murdoch. Hill 3, Tina Wu. Hill 4, Emma Reed. And Hill 5, Elim Zhang. In lane 2, we have Fringe D. CIA B's driver is Emily Wong. On lane 2, we have Fringe D. Hill 1, Veronica Lopez. Hill 2, Dia Nuxel. Hill 3, Ellie Seiler. Hill 4, Emily Harold. And Hill 5, Natalie Herman. Their driver, Melina Imamura. And finally, in lane 3, we have Pika C. Hill 1 is Taylor Davis. Hill 2, Victoria Benschoten. Hill 3, Maya So Holloway. Hill 4, Leah Kendrick. Hill 5, Lily Olson. And the driver, Kaylee Zapanta.
Under 1 minute now.
Katie Zapanta. Pardon.
Folks, this is Jordan in the chute. Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes.
hi.
Hello, and we have our man in the chute joining us. Jordan,
Hello.
how are you doing this morning? How's it looking down there?
It's good. The chute looks nice. I'm hoping to see some clean lines today. I'm hoping to see some fast times. There's one small
30
pothole as they turn in.
seconds.
We'll see how the first heat goes.
There we go. And we have the first buggy on the course there. That's Fringe D. I
With
believe that's
bumper.
Bumper.
And that is those are bumper stickers on the side of the buggy if you can see those.
And that is their 2017 build.
Equinox is going to be for CIAB, and then in lane 3, Wraith. Is it Wraith or Wrath? Wraith?
I believe it's Wraith.
Wraith. Okay. Don't want to start off with a faux pas.
And that is their
10,
new build.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready, set.
All right, and they are off. Looks like there's no one in lane 3 right there. But we are underway with Race Day 2019. CIAB stretching out to a bit of a lead here on this first heat. And you can see a lot of CIA chasing after Ariel Barnett.
Here
Here
they're
we
coming.
come up into the transition between 1 and 2.
And the interesting thing with the course this year is what the top of hill hill 2 looks like.
It is awful. There is a giant pothole right as they transition from the top of Hill 2 to the free roll. Okay,
And they-
there goes Fringe.
And they do have yellow, what look like Post-it notes essentially on the course to let drivers know. When you're in lane 1, you can pretty much get around those. Lanes 2 and 3 have a much tougher time. And Fringe is off into the free roll now as well.
CIAB looking clean in that free roll right there. We don't have timing yet up on there to be able to give you a stop sign time. It looks like they're cruising pretty nicely there. Roll on into the free roll right here. We're coming up to the chute.
That flagger is essentially telling the driver to get
What do we got going on there in the chute, Jordan?
And they're
there's the
coming
chute
through with some
flagger.
nice speed. So it looks, they hit right in the one hot pothole, but they're through cleanly. Maintain some great speed. This should look good going into Hill 3.
So pretty nice there. It's very bumpy roads out there. Gonna make for some interesting stuff, especially in tighter races here. But CIA able to make the transition into Hill 3 there with Tina Wu. Still looking for eyes on Fringe coming through into the chute.
And Bumper just got to the chute, so CIA has a really strong lead, but Bumper's through cleanly and moving on to Hill 3.
Transition 3 to 4 right there for CIA, Emma Reed. And this back hills, as we call them, 3 through 5, a lot of endurance, very intense. You're going all the way on Fruit Street there, I believe.
Yeah.
It's just a slight grade, but it's very tiring.
Especially,
Each
especially
hill
the-
has a different grade.
yeah, so Hill 3 is the shortest of the hills, hopefully.
Nowadays, it's one of the shortest
Yeah.
because the buggies are getting so much rollout that they're coming up the hill.
But it is also by far the steepest hill on the course. So it's people who can sprint very short distances, but go uphill if they need to. Hill 4 is more similar to Hill 1. It's long and uphill, and Hill 5 is flat, but the longest on the course.
And Elim Zhang here coming up towards the finish line, trucking, going real fast right there. Let's see when we get her across that line. Hand on the push bar, 2 hands on the push bar. She is across for the first finish of Race Day 2019, 2:42.43. Being told is the time right there. Natalie Herman now for Fringe, still coming up towards that finish line right there. And one thing to notice, those hands have to be on that push bar when you're going across, otherwise it is a disqualification. Elim did a great job right there for CIA. Sometimes it gets a little bit more dramatic when trying to make sure they really have a good grip there.
And she's a veteran pusher for CIA, so
And it looks like she was 18 actually for
yes,
several years.
yes.
here we go. Fringe is across now as well. A 3:25.40 for them.
Okay, and one thing you'll notice in that last heat was that we had a D team racing a B team, and if Pica would have made it to the line, it was a C team. And you might be asking yourself, well, why don't all the A teams race each other? Why don't all the B teams race each other? We're doing that to maximize safety. So we want all those buggies to get to the top of the hill at different times. That way they don't encounter each other in the free roll. What the teams are doing right now is called a drop test. It makes sure that the brakes are functional after the race. So if they pulled the brakes or if they tapped the brakes while they were going, that it didn't completely disable their brakes while they were going down the hill.
And looking at CIAB's time, that was 2:42.22. Last year, their finals time was 2:44.84, so they've already caught a couple seconds off of how they did last year. So got to be encouraging for them there. That's
And I think
probably
that might
gonna
be
in
their
the
team
neighborhood of
record.
Something to let them go on to day 2. Sorry, what was that, Jordan?
I think that might be their team record.
Oh, really? So congratulations to CIAB. Very possibly a team record right there. We'll try and get some data on there. How did things look in the chute for you down there, Jordan? It seemed like it was maybe a little bump in the pothole, but both came through pretty clean.
Yep, so the chute overall looks pretty good this year. There's one kind of small pothole as they make their turn into the chute, and it looks like CIA wasn't able to avoid it, but Fringe was able to take an inside line, and both came through pretty cleanly. No significant loss of speed.
Very good. We'll be moving on to the second heat now, coming up in a few minutes here. That will be SDCC and Spirit B competing out here.
And one other thing to talk about is that in that last race, Pica C did not come to the line, so they might have been having some difficulties in their truck. But I didn't see any activity. Did you guys see
No,
any
I didn't-
activity
I didn't
towards
see
the
it.
back?
Wasn't
Okay.
like they were-
Sometimes teams are rushing to get to
They
the line.
scratch. Oh, okay.
Okay.
We got some
Thanks, guys.
insider info from from the top of Hill 2. I guess they scratched today, so no Pica C. Unfortunate that they're unable to make it out to race day, but
Which is a bummer because
they seem in good spirits.
and you'll get to see that buggy in the men's heats. But the most interesting thing about that buggy for those Pica fans out there, the buggy is not black.
Whoa.
Like they went a little bit out of the ordinary with the last buggy. I think Cleona with a green stripe, but it was still a black buggy. Wraith is actually gray. It is gray. It is not black. I guess Pica has decided that black is no longer the fastest color.
Your back channel in his feed if you're able to cut it off. Trying to get some of the details from the team down there.
The team is telling us something a little bit different. We'll see what happens on the men's side. We'll see what it looks like.
So stay tuned for that. Let's go ahead real quick and see if we can go ahead and get these teams introduced. First up in lane 2 is going to be Spirit B. They're going to be in Seraph. On Hill 1, Noni Shelton. Hill 2, Anna Boyle. Hill 3, Gabrielle Yanai. Hill 4, Engel Jalcour. And Hill 5, Akua Apong. Their driver, Nina Prakash. And in lane 1, SDCC. Their Hill 1, Kirsten Cassidy. Hill 2, Catherine Zhu. Hill 3, Stephanie Erickson. Hill 4, Zizing Zhang. Hill 5, Senna Fess. And the driver, Zofia Majewski.
2-minute warning.
They are in Vanity.
2 minutes.
And this race will be getting underway in 2 minutes. SDC, we've mentioned the kind of one of the perennial top teams out here. Always fielding even a strong C team, although last year looks like their C was 10th place at the end of race day. So interesting to see how their time might stack up versus CIAB.
Well, and this is their new buggy, so let's see how the new buggy rolls. Spirit is rolling Seraph, which is from 2004.
And that is the second oldest buggy on the course today. So you've got one of the newest with one of the oldest. But old doesn't necessarily mean bad.
We should, for all the people who are watching remotely, let me look up what temperature it is. It's
Yeah,
not bad.
yeah,
It's 61. It's a little cloudy.
And the wind has picked up a little bit in the last few minutes, but other than that, this has been a pretty nice race day so far. The issue is what's coming. There are thunderstorms in the
1
forecast for
minute
today.
warning. 1 minute.
And that was why some of these races were moved a little bit
About
earlier.
a half an hour earlier.
So we've bumped it up about half an hour. It's going to be close, perhaps a photo finish, but we are looking to get all the races in today so that we can have a full set of finishes to determine the finals for tomorrow.
Well, and our most interesting men's races will be at the end of the men's heats. So we really want to get all the way through
30
the men's heats.
seconds.
Right, some of these teams like SDCA, it may be, right before the thunderstorm coming in, possibly even disadvantaging them. So let's see, we're under 30 seconds here. Don't see any
And really,
buggies yet down
it just puts pressure on the teams to get through cleanly today, because if something happens on the course, that's going to delay things, which could be a problem for the later teams today.
It looks like we got both buggies just getting set down there. The start of this race should be coming up very shortly here.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready, set.
And we are underway here, the second heat. SDCC Spirit B. Don't have great eyes on what's going on there, but I assume they're pushing. And Spirit B actually holding up the lead through Hill 1 right here. This is going to be an interesting transition, trying to see who can be the first over Hill 2.
Seraph is the first of the transition. Vanity right behind. Seraph is actually pulling ahead a little bit. Here's Hill 2, and Vanity is definitely catching up. They're going to go over together.
Interesting.
This is going to be really close, and this is
Seraph
where we're talking about not having as nice of a
Seraph
Hill
is
2
going
maybe an issue.
first. Vanity is right behind Seraph there.
And Vanity navigating around some of those potholes right there. But Seraph is in the lead right now. We imagine Vanity might be the faster rolling buggy, and we may see our first pass of the day. So Seraph maintaining that lead.
SEC is lining up for a
Testing.
pass.
Testing. This
Let's
is a
see.
test of the start line mic.
We do not have any eyes on there. Let's see. We've lost it right now on the feed.
Jordan,
Jordan,
can
what
you
do
see
you have down there?
They're both coming up to the top flag, so it looks like they're still maintaining that distance between each other. Vanity's trying to make some moves to position for a pass. We're coming up to bottom flag. Vanity's... Okay, so
Okay.
it looks like Seraph is actually making up some room. They're both through very cleanly, but Vanity has fallen behind of Seraph as they're going into Hill 3.
So it sounds like maybe Vanity hit the brakes a little bit, because it looked like from the early part of the free roll, and and the gap is widening here.
So now it's all about these back hill pushers.
And that rollout for Vanity was not what you'd expect from an SDC buggy. I'm thinking it's a good chance that they maybe braked in order to avoid a collision, but they barely made it up to the start of the Hill 3 on that
Here
one.
we go, 3 to 4 transition right here for Spirit. This is looking tight. SDC has not yet made that 3-4 transition. This is going to come down to these back hill pushers, and this is where maybe Spirit, having their B squad out there, able to maintain that lead, come up with a little bit of an upset right here. But we shall see getting into this final stretch. Hill 4 pushing right there for Spirit. Do not have eyes on it right now. Here we are. They have made that 4-5 transition. SDC makes that transition right now, but Spirit in the lead, looking to have a good chance to be coming across in first place right here. Coming up to that finish line. No eyes on this right now, but we're hearing some cheers.
Okay, here comes Spirit B.
253.10 for Spirit B.
253.10 for Spirit B. And SDC comes through at about a 255. So very interesting race there. SDC, the team we thought maybe would have come through in first. Spirit B beats them up over the hill and then able to maintain the lead through the free roll. It looks like there may have been, the brakes hit by SDC to avoid a crash.
And I just want to quickly, for people on the course here, please stay out of the way of the lead trucks and the follow trucks as they're coming through, especially the lead truck on the back hills. It speeds through at the end to get out of the way of the buggies. So please stay off the course, and please stay out of the way of the lead and follow trucks.
Yep, we are so happy you're here, but please yield to the course marshals who will be telling you what to do.
And that SDC time, I think, was actually about a second faster than what they rolled last year. But Spirit just improved significantly from what they rolled last year with the same team.
Yeah, it looks like SDCC last year, their finals was 256. They're giving them a 257 here. But Spirit B got a 252. Last year they were 257. So Spirit B cutting off 5 seconds off of their time.
5-minute warning.
Which is
5 minutes.
very impressive for them. And nice bit of driving, I think, to, you know, both drivers. They are avoiding any sort of danger or collision there. SDC unable to make the pass, so maybe took some off the brakes right there, but a safe decision from there.
And we may see, particularly SDC, that was their C team, in a re-roll.
Yeah, so
because if she hit the brakes, they can request a re-roll so that they have an unimpeded time.
And it's interesting, you know, they do drop tests afterwards as well to make sure that there are brakes in the system. But what we expect with Vanity is that it used them on the course. So you would think they very clearly have brakes, and they did pass drops, so that was successful.
That rule was implemented because some teams were not including a sufficient braking system, or they were, it was kind of a, you got to brake one time and that was it. So you have to pass drops or else you get disqualified.
So we may be seeing then another role for SDCC there, that to be determined. Would re-rolls happen tomorrow morning or
Let's see what's in the schedule.
today in the schedule?
Typically, yes. So sometimes that changes due to weather expectations, but tomorrow, all things in the weather forecast, you know, keeping in mind that it's a Pittsburgh weather forecast, so it's bound to change at a moment's notice. But tomorrow should be fine. So we would expect that re-rolls from today would take place to start right after exhibitions tomorrow, and that time would be their final time. They wouldn't roll again, even if they had a top 10 time.
And after the races today, all the chairmen will go to a meeting, and all of the timers and the lane watchers essentially will go to a meeting, and they will basically compile everybody's results to make sure that everybody had a clean race, or if they were DQ'd, that everybody agrees, and then from there they will assign the heats for tomorrow, and then any re-rolls will also be assigned during that time. So we'll know later today if there's any re-rolls. Sometimes we get to re-rolls on day one, but it's less common than when we do re-rolls on day two.
And Jordan, down there in the chute, did you see maybe when the braking might have happened?
Do we lose Jordan?
Might have lost him right there. Be interesting to see. I know having a little bit of technical difficulty there, so we're working on that. Pardon me. And if we look at looking at some of these split times right there, some really pretty fast times already.
So yeah, we have a spreadsheet of a timing trap right after the monument. So this should be the top speed of the buggy. Or
2 minute warning. 2 minutes.
About 33 miles an hour for both teams there. We've got a couple minutes until the start of this, so let's go ahead and introduce the two squads here. We have Fidel A and Fringe B here in this third heat. For Fidel A, on Hill 1, they have Kaya Werman. Hill 2, Kayla Vogt. Hill 3, Dino Razik. Hill 4, Sai Koraivi. Hill 5, Annabella Doncel. They are in Argo, and the driver is Adeline Shin. And in lane 1, we have Fringe B. They are in blue shift. Hill 1, Ashton Jones. Hill 2, Cora Hickoff. Hill 3, Emily Sapico. Hill 4, Mauricia Moscow. And Hill 5, Hannah Mahone. The driver, Amy Chet.
And for those of you watching on the stream at home, I believe you are seeing these full races.
Warning. 1 minute. 1 minute warning.
I believe you're seeing these full races on the stream. Just so you know, when we're talking about we can't see it, we're having some technical issues here up in on the course. I think both in the chute and on the
Jumbotrons.
And on the Jumbotrons where it's cutting in and out. So that's why we've been a little unclear.
At a loss
but it's,
for words.
Yeah, but
we're trying.
Yeah, so, but we expect it to be fixed shortly.
All right, we got about
30
seconds.
30 seconds.
Fringe B, not necessarily a team you're going to expect to compete for the top, but they were 7th place last year at 2:39, so probably can come in with, the top time of the day so far. And overall, Fringe A, I think, is one of the teams people are really keeping an eye on this year. So interesting to see how their B team looks here with Blue Shift, with some veteran pushers.
And Blue Shift is a very solid buggy. It's very
9,
fast.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready, set.
And here we are. Things getting underway right here. Buggy's on the course.
They look about neck and neck right now, coming uphill 1 into the 1-2 transition.
Fidel, one of the newer teams out here, but rolling out an A. Fringe finally starting to pull away as they get closer to the transition right here. Still going to be very close. Fringe makes the transition. Fidel makes the transition. Fringe pulling out a couple buggies length further ahead. Now they're getting over to the stop sign. Shove down. Pretty deep hill 2 shove right there.
That's a nice hill 2 shove by Fringe. And Fidel away as well.
Just behind them there, into the free roll.
We have no feed, unfortunately, so.
Just imagine what we would be saying about what you are seeing. I assume everything is going well.
This is Jordan. I can see them coming down on the screen down here, so we can. It looks like they're having some good speed. Fringe is still having the commanding lead. And they're coming up to the top flags right about now. All right, Fringe just reached its top flag, coming through with some nice speed. We have Fidel not too far behind. Fringe now taking its turn into the chute. A little segmented, but it's nice, cleanly through, good speed going into hill 3. And we have Fidel coming through, also clean. Both teams looking good, and off into hill 3.
And I'm just going to make a note here, just looking back a little bit. Coming around the stop, when Blue Shift was coming around the stop sign, it looks like one of their wheels was something. There was a line coming out of one of the wheels. I don't know if something's going on, if a brake is stuck or something. We'll see when we get times what their speed is, or maybe it's just it hit some dirt, a patch of dirt or something. It was carrying that around.
We're coming now back up the back hills. Still do not have eyes on things. So give you updates there as we are able to. Teams coming up the hills. Again, the back end of this Fringe B, Fidel A. We hear some cheers right here. It looks like Fringe is approaching the finish line.
Yep, here they come. Here they come crossing the finish line. She's got the push bar, 246.50. 246.50 for Fringe. Trying to see if I can see Fidel as I fall out of the booth here.
That time puts her into 2nd place.
Yeah, so CIAB holding up to the top, holding on to the top spot there. Last year, Fringe B had a 239.77 on finals. So a bit of a regression right there. As Brian mentioned, maybe something going on.
Fidel has crossed the finish line at 3:13.38.
3:13.38 for Fidel. That'll be, it's like the slowest, one of the slower times today.
A little bit ahead of Fringe D.
Oh, right. I'm looking at the wrong year. Good. So let's see. We got the drop test going on right here for Fringe right now. Let's see if anything funky's going on with that. Buggy rolling down right there on the drop test, and
no problem for Blue
able to
Shift.
break, so no problem there.
5-minute warning. 5 minutes.
We have 5 minutes to heat number 4. As Fidel now reaches the drop line.
So, general takeaways through the action we've seen so far, it seems like things have been pretty clean, pretty
Yep.
smooth. Anything really sticking out to you?
Well, you mentioned there might have been something. That time didn't look like a brake was stuck or anything. Did you see
Yeah.
anything leave the buggy for Fringe B?
No, and it was just, it honestly just looked like kind of a white tail coming off of, I believe it was the front left wheel.
Okay.
But it may have just been, again, they may have just picked up dirt or something on the course, to be perfectly honest.
And again, we've been talking about ways you can DQ. So a lot of times you'll get to the finals and be like, why was this team not there? It was something that you didn't see, such as a transition violation or loss of mass, however small. All that footage is reviewed to make sure that all the rules were followed. A buggy cannot lose pieces on the course. That obviously represents a safety concern.
And so we are 3 races down now out of the 10 women's heats here. Again, this morning on the qualifying race day, the top 10 buggies are going to make it on to day 2. And then from there, we see who ends up getting trophies, how they place, how they get sorted out, and all that. We are, of course, here at Race Day, something made possible by the effort of a lot of people. I want to thank all the students, at WRCT, CMU TV, and then as well the Buggy Alumni Association, who helps us, and a couple sponsors as well. Gold level sponsor, the Buggy Alumni Association, General Motors, Uber, and the vehicles provided by Number 1 Cochrane here in Pittsburgh. Very, very grateful to everyone who helps out, especially the sponsors, by putting together what is one of the most incredible productions, really, when you think about everything that goes into making a race day happen from all year long. So we thank you all. This next race, we're going to have SIGEP A and SDCD. So the first A team of the year coming out here. And it looks like it's a pretty veteran squad for SIGEP coming out in Barracuda. Last year, did they DQ last year? Find SIGEP.
So while Will was looking that up, one of the things that I love about SIGEP this year, so the paint job on Barracuda. So Barracuda is their A-team buggy this year after years of being their B-team buggy. Barracuda used to be one of the fastest on the course, and I believe is the only buggy to ever go sub 2:10
2-minute warning.
and not win a race.
2 minutes.
They rebuilt it this year. It is now back to being their A-team buggy, and it has an incredible paint job.
There we go, and we will see. We'll have an incredible speed. They were DQ'd last year, for the record. So we have 2 teams out here. First up, SDCD. On hill number 1, it is Lila Rokanis. Hill 2, Mira Shukla. Hill 3, Sarah Frankel. Hill 4, Shivani Prasad. And Hill 5, Liang Jin. The driver, May Hode, and the buggy is Avarice. And in lane 1, we have SIGEP A. On hill 1, Ellie Walsted. Hill 2, Victoria Fang. Hill 3, Jamie Slumka. Hill 4, Jocelyn Chan. Hill 5, Julia Adams. And the driver, Sophie Halpern.
1 minute warning.
And as Brian
1
mentioned,
minute.
the buggy, Barracuda. And it looks like we have video feed back up live here for everyone in attendance. Now we can also help describe the action in a little bit more detail. So thank you to everyone working to get that back up and running. We appreciate it very much.
One other interesting thing to note here about SIGEP, particularly here in the women's heat, their chairman this year is actually a woman. For the first time ever, and it's weird.
30
SIGEP, a fraternity,
seconds.
but their chairman
Chairwoman.
is chairwoman. Was their head driver last year. I believe her name is Sophie. But she is their.
I mean, is she
is there-
driving?
Is she
also
driving
this year?
this
I believe she
Okay.
is driving Barracuda this year.
So
but
their
she
chairman.
was their head driver last year, and she is now the actual chairman of SIGEP.
Huh.
That's awesome. So you might be asking why these teams go to the line. They don't want to be
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready, set,
And here we are underway. SDCD, SIG FA. SIG F starting to make a little bit of separation right here in this Hill 1.
And one thing to note is that lane 1 starts a little bit behind lane 2, which starts a little bit behind lane 3. So when you see them neck and neck, it actually means that lane 1 is going a little bit faster.
And this is to account for differences in the top of hill 2.
Yeah, because lane 1 gets an inside turn, so there's less distance to cover.
Big separation right there from SIG F. Really in a ton of real estate here going into hill 2, the shove down there.
And you can see those potholes that they're trying to avoid there with the little yellow flags.
And SDC now into it. SDC taking a little bit of a wider line around that pothole.
And I think you have to when you're not in lane 1, because really to get around the first set, you have to go out wide and then try and turn back inside.
You don't have enough space.
Yeah.
I can see that right now.
Clean, smooth sailing coming through that free roll right there. Barracuda looking beautiful. What a nice paint job off there. Coming across over to the stop sign right there as they begin to move towards the chute.
On the top side now, that stop sign time was around a 107, 108, which is a little slower than I expect from a top women's 18.
107, 108 on the stop sign time. I'm hearing from Jordan. I'm not sure if he's on the main monitor there.
It's coming through cleanly in the chute. That was a nice turn.
Nice turn right here. Coming through clean.
Maintaining speed.
And now here's the transition into hill 3. And a big lead right there by SIG FA.
Okay, it looks like that SDC pusher expected a little bit better of a rollout.
And I'll say SIG FA's hill 3 pusher there pushed last year at hill 3 as well. This was a much better pickup than last year. So here
Now she's on hill 4, SIG FA.
it looks like SDC just made hill 3 for the transition.
And here comes hill 4 to hill 5 for SIG FA. Julie Adams, that hill 5 pusher, just trucking, trying to pick up a couple extra seconds right here. SIG FA trying to capture the top time of the day so far. Let's see what they do with Barracuda.
This is her second year as hill 5 for SIG FA.
Veteran pusher right there. Coming in pretty nice speed maintained going towards that finish line right there. Hand on the push bar.
2:45.54 is the time.
2:45.54, the time right there. And SDCC still coming across, so maybe not necessarily the time SIG FA wanted. That's, pardon me, still behind CIAB, who is a 2:42.22. Again, these times are unofficial. We will post the official one, but you know they're about right there, 2:45. Cross comes SDCD. Look to get a time on that one as well.
And a lot of times it's worth mentioning that a D team is sometimes composed of the drivers for the other buggies. So sometimes we see those slower times out because they just want to experience all the sides of the sport. So I'm not sure if they are, in fact, drivers, but I know that other teams do use their D team as their driver push team if there's an interest. Sometimes the drivers are interested, sometimes, or mechanics.
Some of the people not necessarily working for competitive times, but still want to get in a part of the experience.
Well, and it's excellent to put up a time because when you select heats, they used the time from your previous year to show what spot you get. So if you have a time, that counts for higher than a team that would be, say, introducing a new D team. So if you have a D time,
5 minutes,
wanna hold that
5-minute
spot.
warning.
And just for viewers out there who know that SIG F has had some braking issues in the past, they did successfully pass drops. So Barracuda does have brakes that work. Jordan, I don't know if you're down in the chute and can hear us. Barracuda, when they came into the chute, it looked a little bumpy. I don't know if you saw anything there, or if you can hear us, or if we can hear you. But
yep, I can hear you. Barracuda came through pretty cleanly coming into the chute. Avarice, which I know is a buggy that's had some issues in the past, looked a little choppy coming through. But both teams managed to avoid the pothole and maintain at least some speed going into Hill 3.
Very good. Thank you, Jordan. We do have that official time. It was a 2:45.26 for SIG FA. So that's good enough for second place right now behind CIAB.
and ahead of Fringe B.
So it looks like, yeah, the time we have on there is 2:45:26. So that's going to be putting them kind of in danger of maybe making day 2, depending. We still have a lot of A teams to come. Spirit A, Fringe A, SDCB, CIA, Pike A, SDCA. Not necessarily the A team time they would have hoped for.
And it was about a second faster than last year's time, but it's not a top women's A team time.
Let's talk about driving a little bit.
Let's.
We
In
often
fact,
forget to talk about the driver.
Because it turns out we have a driver in the booth.
Well, I'm not an experienced driver, but I did train drivers, and I have driven the free roll. So a lot of times people assume that drivers can see more than they really can. So in some of the newer buggies, the visibility is actually quite good. But for most, you have probably somewhere between a 45 and a 90-degree angle that you can see. Usually you can't see totally to the sides of you. So if we see any passes, which I don't know if we will today because it looks like these heats are seated pretty well, you have to imagine that the driver is kind of just gauging where the other person is. They do a course walk with each other, and they try to anticipate where they will be at each time. They take their line through the chute, which is important, especially because a lot of them are avoiding that pothole. But they will talk about things. They have passed a pass test as part of their training. They did that during rolls. Many of them have passed several pass tests. And they all have to have a certain number of rolls going into race day, but I don't think that was satisfied for all drivers due to the number of there was a low number of rolls this spring. So we do have some inexperienced drivers on the course.
I believe
did they all get
most
qualified?
Did, last weekend, the weekend before race day,
2
for those who don't
minute
know,
warning.
is called Truck Weekend.
2
That's when trucks
minutes.
are out. And there were a lot of rolls over those 2 days, so I think most drivers did get qualified.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure we were talking about on the kickoff show, most of them did get qualified. We got 3 teams out on the course so far, for this next heat right here. Let's go ahead and introduce them. In lane 3, we have Apex A. The Hill 1 is Katie Warren. Hill 2, Shawnee Rosenthal. Hill 3, Emma Nicholas Morris. Hill 4, Claire Wang. And Hill 5, Francis Moore. They're in Solaris, and the driver, Bethany Bauer. In lane 2, we have CIAD. Hill 1, Fatima Bassett. Hill 2, Rachel Shin. Hill 3, Rachel Mutz. Hill 4, Emily Wang. And Hill 5, Emily Wong. The buggy is Icarus, and the driver, Janet Lee. And finally, in lane 1, we have Spirit A. On Hill 1, Catherine Mondoa. Hill 2, Yaramo Dione. Hill 3, Chiname Iyeba. Hill 4, Hannah Asinowo. And Hill 5, Alexandra Moy. They are in Invisid, and the driver is Bei Chen Liu.
So a couple of things to note. One, as we said in the last heat, CIAD here, hills 3 and 5 for them are being pushed by other drivers.
30 seconds.
So CIAD also just fun to watch. They use.
And this is typically their suit race. So
Yes.
if you note, they will probably be dressed in formal wear.
Yes. I also want to shout out Spirit A and Spirit in general, because this year, after years of broadcasters and other people complaining that we couldn't tell the difference between their buggies, they have painted the names on their buggies, so I would like to thank them for that, because it makes it easier to identify. Also, this is their exact same A-team as last year, so we'd expect
9,
good results.
8, 7,
Let's see, we have
6,
the
5,
buggies down on the course right
4, 3,
2 A-teams.
2, 1, ready, set.
All right, and here we are off. Spirit already looking strong right there.
And it will be interesting to see Apex A. This is their new buggy, Aurora, which,
Solaris. CIA's new buggy is Aurora.
that was why my notes were wrong. This is their new buggy, Solaris. Both, names of things in the sky.
Spirit, good bit of separation here initially going into Hill 2 right there.
And then Apex just slightly behind them. A CIAD just making the 1-2 transition.
Okay, here's Spirit going for the downhill.
Nice navigation there.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting with Apex right there. Took a really tight line along that curve. May have even made up
Is
a couple
Apex
seconds.
gaining?
I think they are.
That was a solid Hill 2 shove, but for Apex A.
And she had a great line through Hill 2.
Yeah. And by the way, CIAD's Hill 2 pusher was both in formal wear and wearing a Santa hat. So shout out to that.
And here we are coming around to the stop sign right
They
there.
are
It looks
very
like
close.
Apex is gaining a little bit of ground right there on Invisid. Invisid across the stop sign. Apex A now across there. And it's going to be interesting going into the chute here as they reach the flags.
So
Jordan, you there?
It looked like Spirit A came through a little bit faster than Sig F at that stop sign time. Both buggies approaching the bottom flag right now. Spirit starting to make their turn. Apex not too far behind. And Spirit, Spirit is going to hit the hay bales, but Apex makes it through cleanly, is able to avoid a collision.
They may throw a stop flag for CIAD.
It looks like CIA is actually coming through, so folks stay off the course. CIA coming through. Gonna have to avoid to swerve. She took a tight line, which is right where the Spirit buggy was. Swerve to avoid, and it's coming up on hill 3 now, so no collision in the chute.
And that is really, really a bummer to see right there for Spirit. Apex now in the lead here. Kind of a clean path forward for them. I just saw CIAD's Hill 3, who I think is in a duck mask. It's like the Purge or something. Hill 4 coming up right now for Apex. Claire Wang. And here we are, Hill 4, looking for that transition. 4-2-5 right there for Apex. They have clear on the rest of the course. Spirit not going to finish this one. They did have a spin out there in the chute.
And we haven't seen that problem for them for many years. For a while, they were having this issue where they would spin in the chute, and it seemed like they got it solved.
We might have jinxed them by not mentioning the problem, I feel like, right?
But I want to say they've been clear for 5 years or 6 years. It's a long time ago that we've seen that problem out of them.
And here comes Frances Moore coming towards that finish line. Want to make sure she's got the hand on the push bar.
And she does.
Comes across.
It looked about a 251 right there.
Yeah, 251.61 unofficially. Sorry, 251.37 unofficially.
And now waiting for CIAD.
Okay, and she has decided to wear her helmet. This
She is
a driver.
She is dressed as she would be in the buggy plus a suit jacket.
Cosplaying as herself. Emily Wong coming up here.
And they are rolling on one 10-inch wheel and one 8-inch wheel. Or a 6-inch.
Do you know why?
No, I don't.
Fair enough.
I should, but I don't.
The cross there for CIAD. Somewhere around a 327 for them. And we do have a replay available of that chute spin right there. We do have word the driver is okay, so great news there. It seemed like it wasn't, too high speed, the crash. But here they are coming through the chute. Let's take a look at what happens right there.
And she lost some speed before she hit the hay bales. It was
So
more of
she
just a
was
cushion
braking.
on the side. But that's still just unfortunate for Spirit in a time that looked to be taking the top spot potentially.
And that's why we put those hay bales there, because this is a very common incident coming through the chute, either a spin or a slide or avoiding another buggy. So they will extricate her and make sure she's okay, and then that's why we have the trucks. They'll just bring it back up to the top of the hill.
Yeah, all the word from down there is the driver there, Bei Chen, is doing fine.
But please don't crowd around the buggy. Give them some space to work.
And I wanted to check. It sounds like SDC actually failed the drops test on that last roll. Do we have any information on that?
I did not notice that, but let me see if we can get some intel on SDC with the drop test right there. I'm not sure if we had that on our screen.
Might say DQ.
SDC, that would have been SDC-D on the last one.
Yeah.
I don't have them marked as a DQ right now.
That's typically something that gets tallied later, though.
Okay. We will get back to you on that, Jordan. Good question. It looks like we are going to have a slight delay just to get the course cleared after that spin out right there by Spirit.
And they've got the buggy loaded into the truck, so hopefully we'll be able to move things along quickly. But glad to hear the driver's okay. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, and luckily it did seem a bit like a slow speed incident. Like it was almost happening in slow motion, as you could see that she wasn't quite going to make it, and unfortunately unable to correct in the chute.
And unfortunately, so CIA tends to take a lot of tight lines in the chute, which is right where Spirit's buggy ended up going. So thankfully, that CIA driver was able to see that in time and adjust to avoid any more serious collisions.
Let's see, I think we're going to be working on a slight delay here.
So while we're delayed a little bit, since Aaron, you're in the booth, we won't get to see the buggy that I accidentally mentioned, Aurora, which is actually CIA's new buggy and not Apex's new buggy. So I just want to ask you, there is something unique about Aurora, which you'll see. I believe it's men's C team they'll be pushing.
Thanks for setting me up for that, Brian,
Yeah.
because I really want to talk about that.
I know. Aurora, so CIA has a history of doing something unique, which is a dropping push bar.
Yes, and
And-
Aurora is their first build of a dropping push bar since, I believe, 2006. The last buggy to have a dropping push bar was Firebird, which I did drive.
Resuming
and
the
drop the push
9-minute
bar.
countdown.
What was that?
They're resuming the 9-minute countdown,
Okay,
so it
okay,
will
so-
be...
So we've got 9 minutes.
Okay,
yeah,
great,
yeah.
great.
So-
So yeah, this is something that for a while CIA was extremely proud of, and then they, during my time as chairman and the chairman after me, we decided to go a different direction, and so we built buggies that were more like some of the other teams. So no dropping push bar. The old dropping push bar buggies were not exclusively carbon fiber buggies. Most of the ones we see on the course today are made out of carbon fiber and Nomex, and it's a pretty complicated build process. But these were an aluminum framed buggy that had a carbon fiber or a fiberglass shell over top of it. And that's what enabled the push bar to work. Everything was aluminum. But if you've reviewed any of the footage of the old races, the dropping push bar was quite a novelty at times.
It's good in theory, not necessarily in practice.
It's good in theory. There are some downsides. Mechanics can get hit with the dropping push bar if there's still charge left in the system. A driver's trained to put the bar up and down, but sometimes they would forget, because you have to remember they're putting the bar up right after they do the hardest part of the race. So occasionally a driver would forget, and then all of the gain of not having a push bar sticking up going down the free roll is negated by the fact that the push bar isn't up when the pusher needs it. So they would have to pull it out of the buggy and lock it in place. But I believe they worked out some of those issues for this new buggy. I'm excited and slightly anxious to see it perform. all the buggies while I was chairman were dropping push bar buggies. So
Right.
that's what I was watching for every race, to see if the bar went up and down. I believe the system is obviously different because it is a carbon fiber buggy. And so it's the first of its kind. And I kind of decided, if you look at their fleet of buggies, they've had several good builds in the last few years. And so what they decided was, now is the time. Now is the time for the dropping push bar, because we've got a whole fleet of buggies that we can run. We have enough to fill all of our teams. Let's build the dropping push bar buggy. So I'm really excited, also anxious to see how it goes.
And the next heat is Fringe A and Pica B. And there's just a couple of things to note here. One, this is Fringe's 50th anniversary. Fringe was founded in 1969. This is the 50th anniversary of Fringe. It's also, by the way, the 100th anniversary of SAE, who unfortunately was unable to qualify for race day after an incident on truck weekend. But for Fringe folks, I believe there are a lot of alumni here. And my understanding is that in this new buggy, which is going to be rolling A team, Blind Faith is the name of it. I believe they've engraved the 50th anniversary, something with the 50th anniversary into the buggy.
Okay.
So it's pretty interesting there. The other thing that I want to note in this heat, this is Fringe A against Pica B. Now the way these heats are
5
determined.
minutes. 5-minute warning.
The way they decide these heats is at an event called Heat Selection, which happens it happened last Sunday night. So all the teams get together in a room, and there's an order in which you select them. But what teams try to do is space out the heat. So what you've seen, what we've watched so far today, the team that's in lane 1 isn't all that close to the team that's in lane 2, which isn't all that close to the team that's in lane 3. I think with the one exception that we've had so far of SDCC and Spirit B, which was closer than I think anyone probably expected, and then, again, Vanity may have had to break. So they try to space it out, and they do that primarily based on Hill 1 times. Each team has an idea of how fast their Hill 1 pusher is going to go. They try to space it out a couple of seconds between if they can, so then that way there's no incidents on the course, and it's relatively easy. Everyone has an unimpeded trip. Here, the times that they went off of has about a 2.5 second difference. I believe it was Fringe A with around a 22.7 and Pika B around a 25. But I just want to point out that Pika B's Hill 1 pusher, Laura Oxner,
was there.
Was a Hill 1 pusher last year, and her time last year was around 22.4.
And she was their A team.
She was their A
Yeah.
team.
And this year she's B. So this heat may be a lot closer than people might expect.
Yeah, we're getting into the part of the roster where the teams are going to be pretty close.
And is Fringe rolling their new Buggy Blind Faith on this roll? Because I'd be interested to see, since it's a new Buggy, we never know how it's actually going to roll out in the free roll. If Pike is able to make a pass with a solid Buggy against a new Buggy from Fringe.
Yes, this should be their new Buggy, their new build for this year, Blind Faith.
Yeah, they're listing Blind Faith there, and then I never can pronounce this right. Claudna?
I think it's Cleona.
Cleona?
Do we have someone from Pika
Where's
around here?
Bordick? In any case, it's a Buggy.
And another thing to note, we last week at Truck Weekend, some of the alumni had a speed, not necessarily a speed trap out there, but they clocked some times from Saturday. Cleona's fastest time was actually a little faster than Blind Faith's.
Okay.
So if Fringe A goes into the free roll with a lead, it's possible that Pika may gain on them. It's not necessarily. It may be the other way around. Fringe A, it's an A team. Pika B is a B team, so Fringe A may get a better push, and Fringe A may gain. But it'll be the point is this race we expect it to be pretty interesting.
Yep.
All right, so we're getting pretty close to the start of this one. Go ahead and run down the teams Go ahead and run down the teams again. Fringe A, Pika B, 2 teams racing in here. Pika B is going to be in lane 2.
2 minutes.
Their Hill 1
2-minute
is
warning.
Laura Oshner. Hill 2, Gabby Veniti. Hill 3, Christina Sordoresu. Hill 4, Ali Maringer. And Hill 5, Victoria Avery. Their driver is Taylor Davis. And what is it again? Kyoto?
I think it's Cleona.
Cleona? I'm sorry, Pika people. And in lane 1, we have Fringe A. Fringe, their 50th year, and here their A team. Their Hill 1, Lily Wang. Hill 2, Helen Cheng. Hill 3, Amy Chen. Hill 4, Maddie Long. And the Hill 5, Seema Kamath. Their driver, Sarah Connor. And the new Buggy, Blind Faith. I was hoping someone would make a Terminator joke.
She's probably heard a lot of Terminator jokes.
I'm sure, yeah. So I'm going to refrain.
So looking at that timing spreadsheet,
1 minute warning. 1 minute.
we do have a speed trap. Right now, the fastest speed coming into that, it's right after the monument, so right before they make that shoot turn, is CIAB 34:47. So we see how that time going down the hill does correlate pretty well. With a good push team, correlates pretty well with the finishing time.
It
Turn
is
on
a
the mic.
little interesting, though, because CIAB was actually the first heat, and usually the teams get faster as you go, but CIAB had the fastest time. Now, to
30
be honest, I'm
seconds.
not surprised. Equinox, the buggy they rolled, has been surprisingly good and has been one of the fastest buggies on the course on previous weekends. So it's not that big of a surprise that they're in the lead, but the fact that it was out of Heat 1 and we've seen a couple of A teams since that with slower times, pretty impressive for CIA.
Yep.
Looks like we have Pika's Buggy down there on the course. Blind Faith, they're still holding it up right there, waiting for it to set down.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready,
sure what happened right there, but Fringe is the only team going out there. It looked like Pika pulled back there.
Yeah, they look like they're scratching.
I believe you do have to be on the starting line with at least 5 seconds to go. They may not have thought
They were
could.
there,
They were
though.
there.
They were there, and they were down. So Fringe is running this alone.
That's kind of unfortunate for Fringe because it is nice to have a team to run against.
Yeah.
And here we go, Fringe transitioning into Hill 2 right there, Helen Cheng.
And I hope I didn't scare Pika into thinking that they were going to be too close and that it was a risk.
A nice shove right there, kind of negotiating between all those potholes right there. And Blind Faith now into the free roll. Interesting. We'll try and get word on what happened with Pike right there because they were down.
Ready
and
to
then they
go.
kind of pulled back.
Yeah, they could be having some kind of problem with their buggy or their driver. She might have yelled to him to say that something was wrong. Maybe her brake was locked up or something.
Oh, caught a leaf? I believe Fringe's wheel just got a leaf stuck in it.
And we can see leaves on the course. Wind's pretty heavy right here as we're heading towards the chute.
Fringe, even with a leaf possibly caught in the wheels, coming with some good speed. They're a few seconds ahead of some other teams at the stop sign, about a 104. Coming through nicely, so it does look like there's something on the left side, but through pretty cleanly, has some nice speed going into Hill 3, so hopefully we see a good time out of them.
You know, Fringe historically has issues with things like squirrels running in front of it, so, you know, a leaf is nothing.
It looked less like a leaf and more like part of a paper
plastic.
bag.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, Hill 3 able to catch up pretty well right there. We'll see if that slows them down 3 to 4. They're still looking to be cruising pretty good right there.
And the course is swept prior to, it's one of the least favorite buggy jobs is to sweep the course prior to rolls.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's quite breezy today, so.
Yeah, it was honestly, it was the wind that picked up something, blew it across the road, and it just happened to hit Fringe at the wrong possible time.
Yeah, it looks like a
It
plastic
looks like
bag
a plastic
or something.
bag.
Yeah, 4 to 5. This is why you don't litter people. Come on. And now Hill 5 right here.
She
Seema
is
Kumar.
zooming.
Yeah, she is their return Hill 5 right here, and you can see why. Just flying right there. Really blasting that buggy as she's coming into the finish line, and this is going to be a very nice time, I'm thinking, for the Fringe team, the plastic bag.
Well, it's looking around like a 245.
Oh, really? Wow.
Maybe a little bit better than that.
Let's see. Hand on the push bar.
241.81.
Okay, let's look really close to see if we can see.
And that would be enough
Yep.
for the top time of the day, but still not a
And they
great
just took the
time.
bag. They just took it off. I see someone walking over.
They are going to take that directly to the sweepstakes chairman.
Yeah, is that something that maybe make them eligible for a reroll?
Yes, that is definitely something that would make them
Although,
eligible for
if
a
it ends
reroll.
up being a day 2 time, is that something they would request, or as long as they make it to day 2?
It depends. So there's pros and cons there. So if we re-roll at the end of the day, they may put in for a re-roll right now in order to get a time at the end of the day, because their time affects how they will be seated for tomorrow.
All right.
So they will get last choice if they don't.
So
no.
it is a plastic bag.
Don't litter,
Yeah.
people.
It is a burger bag. We have it in the
it
booth
is
right
from
now.
It's
a
from the
deli.
deli.
It says deli on there. Some mysterious deli, not even on CMU's campus. So we're going to say the perpetrator is not an alum or student. Do you ever feel like a plastic bag, perhaps this Fringe team does right now?
Yeah, and we'll see what their time is, because as long as their time is good enough to get them into day 2, they may not want the reroll.
But if the re-rolls occur, it's a
5
toss-up,
minute
right? You're running a
warning.
team
5
that is
minutes.
potentially tired.
Yep.
So you may not want to re-roll. It
Yep.
might be a strategy not to re-roll. They will probably still request a re-roll right now. That way they can decline it if they want to. But usually as a chairman, you would get it, and then it's
Exactly.
your option to decline it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And you have to think that with something like this, completely out of their control, that they would be granted a reroll.
Correct.
But obviously that is ultimately Sweepstakes' call. And if Sweepstakes does want this bag to see what it actually is, feel free to stop by the broadcast booth. We have it
this
here.
is great. If not, you can put this in the, I don't know, give it to Tom Wood. It's a piece of buggy history right there. Interesting race right there. Pika, does not start. at all after having a buggy down there, and I'd love if we could get some word on.
If there's someone from Pica who happens to know what happened there and wants to give us any word, feel free to do that,
Talk to
because
us.
we're really curious.
And then, in my memory, that's the first plastic bag collision I've seen, or not collision, I don't know what.
We've had other collisions.
Yes.
We've had wildlife collisions. I don't know if it's occurred during a race day, but I am certain that drivers have hit squirrels before.
And there's a great photo on cmubuggy.org from last week coming up the back hills, I think on Hill 4, with a squirrel right in front of a buggy being pushed, and I can't remember what buggy it was, but if you're ever curious, and you'll get the real wildlife, you'll get people who bring dogs out. Dogs have an interesting relationship with buggies. Some are fine, but most of the ones that I see, we're on TV.
We're on TV. Hi, everybody. We just like looking at ourselves.
Oh, and while we're here,
the plastic bag.
The plastic bag.
Yeah, we got bag cam.
Here is the bag. This is what caught on Fringe's wheel. So
Don't litter.
Now you know.
Please don't.
So let's talk about, we were talking about Pica at the line. Let's talk about why the teams are rushing their buggies out to the line and then putting them down at the last minute. I was starting to talk about that and then got interrupted by the countdown. They do that because a lot of the wheels are heated. So in order to get the top time, they are heating up those urethane or other material wheels so that they go a little bit faster. So that's why they don't want to put them down on the cold pavement, because that could result in a flat spot on their wheel. So they have to have it down by 5 seconds prior. Like the countdown starts, and then I believe they have until the count of 5 to put it down on the ground. And that's another way to DQ. We're talking about ways to DQ. There is some plastic bag footage. We can see it very clearly on Fringe's wheel.
I mean, the likelihood of that
The
happening
odds of
just
that
seems
happening.
so low.
That
It's really quite something.
There's always something new and surprising.
2 minute warning.
You think you've seen
2
it all? You haven't.
minutes.
All right, so we got 3 teams in this race right here. Apex rolling out a C team this year. So again, we talked about depth. And this another example of that. They're going to be in lane 3. Their Hill 1 is Maddie Arcurio. Hill 2 is Sprina Wu. Hill 3, Sydney Baker. Hill 4, Vidya Sastry. And Hill 5, Veronica Seward Aponte. Their driver, Joanne Tsai, and she's being pushed in Phoenix. In lane 2, we have Sig Ep C. That is going to be Hill 1, Ugne Zayuste. Hill 2, Lily Marty. Hill 3, Alicia Huggett. Hill 4, Olivia Lee. And Hill 5, Madeline Lepla. The driver, Becky Zhang, and they're going to be pushing Hydra. And finally, in lane 1, SDC.
1 minute warning.
Hill
1 minute.
Bridget Sedurna. Hill 2, Shannon Finnerty. Hill 3, Sophia Angel. Hill 4, Virginia Fulton. And Hill 5, Ali Carone. The driver, Elaine Oyang, and they are going to be in Vice.
Is that Phoenix?
And
The Apex C?
I think it might be Azula.
Okay. Because I think we have it as Phoenix, but that does not look like
30
Phoenix.
seconds.
yeah, that looks like Azula.
Yeah.
Great Avatar reference.
If you just put something in front of me, I'll read it. I will not. So you know.
I think we
There's
all
Sig Ep
had it
coming
as
to the
Phoenix,
line.
so it wasn't
Okay.
it
Here's
wasn't just you.
SDC.
Looks like here we have all 3 teams at the line now. And as Aaron mentioned, you can see there with SDC them, keeping that buggy.
They
off of
even
the
have a
pavement.
special. They have a special
10.
folder for it.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready, set.
Alrighty, and here we go with this heat.
And SDC is already in front, 1 push in. It shows you the difference between the SDC-B and 2C organizations. With that said, it'll be interesting to see the 2C teams and how close or far apart they are.
Well, and Apex is one of our newest teams.
Yeah.
You know, they were formed in 2012, and so for having a women's C team, that shows a lot of growth in the team.
SDCB, though, just zooming. Really strong handoff there to Hill 2. Let's see how deep she wants to take it and give that shove into the free roll.
Apex C just coming up to the 1-2 transition now.
No, she might have clipped the side of that one pothole that's marked there.
Didn't seem to affect the movement too much.
Sigep took a very interesting line.
Still waiting for eyes on Apex there. Looks like they're just getting into the shove now.
And Apex C is quite honestly just having a good time out here. So
we're all having a good time out here. SDCB looking really nice in that free roll right there. And you can see, right, even with the swept streets, there's so many leaves and whatnot just blown out there. It is quite windy out on the course as they get into the shoot.
And SDC coming into their bottom flag right now, reaching it, starting to begin their turn. Oh, a little bit of fight going on there, but she makes it through cleanly, is going to maintain some good speed. We have Sigep following not too far behind. A little bit different line, a little more on the inside. Quite some wobble going back and forth, even as they maintain speed going into Hill 3. And then Apex just now getting near to the bottom flag. I'll give you an update on those.
We have Sophia Angel right there on Hill 3. Pretty nice transition to Hill 4. She was maybe slightly behind the Buggy, but not too many shoves right there. Able to transition that over to Virginia Fulton. SDCB looking quite good right here. The well-oiled machine.
And this is Virginia's first year pushing.
Oh, wow.
We don't have any other times for her, so she pushed before.
And this transition is happening around 2:13, 2:14. So we're looking 240, 245, somewhere in that range probably.
So they're going to be fighting for that top spot.
Allie Karen here, Hill 5. She was their D team Hill 5 last year, moved all the way up to B team here. Coming in pretty nice, getting towards that line.
Catchers are in place.
Trying to fight for one of those top times of the day. Hand on the push bar coming over.
242.05 unofficially.
242.05 unofficially. So that would put them in second place between Fringe A and CIAB.
Okay, here comes Sigep in.
We just crossed the 3-minute mark.
It's Madeline Lepla pushing.
Apex trying to get some eyes there. All right, Sigep C
Hand
coming
on the
across the line right there.
309.36 unofficially for Sigep C. And here comes Apex. Is that Hill 4 or 5? That is 5.
Yeah, final stretch there on Hill 5. Really a pretty nice looking Hill 5 push right there.
There's
a solid
solid
speed in there, yeah. Maybe didn't have it somewhat earlier on, but a nice backhill performance by them. A lot of speed
Comes
coming
with
through.
a 337.47.
And that SDC time was one of the slowest we've seen in a few years. I think past 3 years they've been under 240 in all of their times.
Yeah, it looks like last year, finals they were at 237.5, and then prelims 238.17. So a little bit of regret. Oh boy, got the sneezes. A little bit of a regression right there as the wind is really picking up here.
5-minute warning.
And
5 minutes.
Does that wind have any effect for the teams on the course if it does start really gusting, kind of like it is right now?
I think it depends a little bit on the direction of the wind. Obviously, if you're going into it, then this is, it could certainly be a problem if it's, this isn't necessarily a steady wind. We're getting gust and non-gust. If you're going down into the wind and you're just in an unlucky heat that happens to be one where the wind is going to push you there, like it could slow you down at probably a couple of seconds in total. On the flip side, if you go with the wind, it may pick up your speed a little bit.
A little bit of a jet stream.
But that may also make it a little harder to control. I believe.
And
So far, SDC and Sigep have both passed drops for this heat.
And if you direct your eyes to the big Jumbotron over there, you can also get in on the action here with Race Day and participate. We've got a live chat going on at cmutv.org. If you go to cmubuggy.org/chat, there's actually a Buggy Alumni Association chat server. And you can get in on the Carnival app, alumni.cmu.edu/carnival. all different ways you can get even more involved in the production in this today. Ask some questions, talk with your friends, make fun of the silly things we say, whatever it may be. Check it all out there. Anything you want to know about Buggy, head to cmubuggy.org. You can check out the leaderboard there. If we're not reading the times enough for you, you can always get that and refresh that there. They're actually adding some of those split times there as well. Just breaking over 9 a.m. Again, things were moved up a little bit this morning in order to accommodate for perhaps the coming thunderstorms a little bit later on.
It feels
right
like
now.
a thunderstorm, unfortunately.
Yeah, feel it in my bones.
I just want to, before we move on to the next heat, I want to give a quick shout out to Apex here, and this is really more for the men's than the women's, but we were just told about this, so I want to throw this out there. So Apex, as Aaron mentioned, is the newest organization on the course. I believe they were formed 20...
be newer?
Fidelt is newer.
You're right.
Yeah.
Fidelt is newer. So I apologize for that. But Apex is one of the newest the Buggy organization on the course. On the men's side, their C team this year. So we just saw the women's C team. On the men's C team for Apex is actually going to be pushed by a group of freshmen who go by the organization the Shats Frat. They are apparently a group of guys who enjoy Shats, which is the dining room here at CMU, for those of you who don't attend or have never been to CMU. So it's a group of freshmen. They're teaming up to push C-Team this year in hopes that they may form their own Buggy organization, hopefully maybe even next
Based
year.
around Shats. That's great. Who among us does not love Shats? Anyways, we're getting towards the end here of these women prelims. Again, the top 10 teams are going to make their way on to day 2, trying to see who can get
2
trophies
minute
out
warning.
from that.
2
Right
minutes.
now, we are in the 8th heat out of 10. So this is going to be CIA A and SIG EP B. So let's go ahead and get those teams introduced here. Just pulling up my rosters right there. And CIA, one of those teams I know everybody's really looking to as maybe a top contender here. Let's go ahead and break down the rosters first. For SIG EP B, on Hill 1, Hira Meow. Hill 2, Arabella Reese. Hill 3, Miranda Mlinchek. Hill 4, Alicia Mayer. And Hill 5, Eileen Yu. Their driver, Haiwen Liu, and they are in Kraken. And in lane 1, CIAA. On Hill 2, Andrea Sipos. Hill 2, Hannah Linus. Hill 3, Tori Siplicus. Hill 4, Lindy Cornwall. And Hill 5, Lydia Singh. The driver, Rachel Motz. And they're going to be in Emperor.
And I just got a couple of quick updates regarding Pika. So apparently Pika C, which we never saw at the line, actually scratched yesterday, so they never
Oh,
intended
okay, so
to
they were
run,
never
and we
intending to
didn't
race.
know. I've heard one thing about Pika B, but it doesn't really line up with what we saw. My understanding is that because of the incident in the previous heat with Spirit A,
30 seconds.
There was some confusion about how much time there was left until the heat,
But they
until
were
the
on
Pika
the
B
line.
heat, and so that they had issues with the wheels, and either getting the wheels on the buggy or getting the wheels ready. But it's a little weird because the buggy was on the line, so we'll try and get more information for you on that if we can. But wanted to pass along what information we do have.
And here, CIAA last year finished in 3rd place at a 2:36.36. One of the teams this year
10,
people have their eyes on
9,
trying to challenge
8,
that 2nd place spot.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready, set.
And CIAA's 1 and 2 are both very experienced pushers. Their Hill 2 has pushed for 5 years.
And in the past, I believe last year they were both the Hill 1 and 2 pusher, and in total it was about 34 seconds. It was about 22 for Hill 1 and 12 for Hill 2.
Oh, she is
nice
trucking.
strong
She is, and that was,
shove right
that was
there.
probably a little under 22 seconds.
And wow, Hannah Linus right there going into that Hill 2 with a ton of speed and power.
Okay, let's look
shoving
at the
down
line.
there.
Very nice line, avoided all the potholes.
And it looks like they shaved about a second off of last year's time for the first 2 hills.
Siget B's into the free roll.
And really, not a bad start for SIG B there, too. CIAA just flying up those first 2 hills right there. Looking really smooth in the free roll right there.
Now, is Emperor's front wheel smaller than the back 2?
Yes.
as it looks like they're, I believe,
CIA has always been rather partial to those 10-inch wheels.
And already at the flag. Jordan, what we got down there?
Right. All right, so CIA is coming up to the bottom flag right now, beginning her turn. Managing to avoid all the potholes and sewers through very cleanly. Great line. Exactly what I'd expect of CIAA. Very experienced team. Always takes great lines.
And a ton of heat coming up into that Hill 3 transition right there.
And Rachel was also their 2018 driver, so this is the same driver buggy combo as last year.
Siga came through cleanly now, and they're getting picked up by the Hill 3 pusher as well.
3 to 4 transition right there. It looks like maybe
Not
a
a
little
great
bit
3 to
of
4
a,
transition.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of a loss of some of that momentum they had coming through there. And we can see Sigep on the same screen right there doing their 3 to 4 transition here. That Hill 4 trying to make up some of that time for CIA right there.
Thus far, CIA had the fastest time on the downhill, with the fastest speed on the downhill with 35.72 miles per hour.
And here's that 4 to 5
that
transition.
transition is about 2:08. So give 30 seconds. We're looking at a first place time for CIA at the moment.
2:40.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what they're able to do right there. Sigep making that 4 or 5 transition right now.
It's about 2:21 for that transition.
CIAA trucking towards that finish line. Lydia Shing coming up close right there. Make sure to get those hands on the push bar. The team cheering for her as she comes across.
2:35.19.
2:35.19. That's a very nice time. That's about 6
I take it back. 2:34.97.
Wow.
The clock changed a little bit.
That is about 6 seconds, 7 seconds ahead of Fringe A. And that would cut off a couple seconds from where they were at last year.
And that is a 2:51.76 for Sigep B, which is a pretty solid B team time.
Yeah, that's really nice right there. That'll put them in about 5th place right there, ahead of Apex A, a couple seconds behind Fringe B. So a nice showing right there from Sigep B, and definitely the top roll of the day for CIAA right there.
But they're all going to be fast from here on, because we're
should.
getting towards the end of the roll order.
And Sigep B actually shaved about 5 seconds off of last year's time.
Congrats to them on that. And yeah, CIAA 2:34.97, which is faster than both their times from yesterday. Excuse me, not yesterday. Last year. Feels like it was yesterday. So it was nice to see that from them there. It looks like they may have a little bit they can make up tomorrow on that Hill 3 right there. Something was a little bit clunky there, but otherwise, pretty nice roll. Really beautiful Hill 1, Hill 2.
Yeah, I can guarantee you they're going to go back and review that footage and figure out what they could do a little bit better.
As we watch Kraken, I believe Emperor has passed drops. Yes, and then Kraken is going through drops right now.
5-minute warning. 5 minutes.
And it's going to be really, really close. I can't see from this angle.
I saw a fist bump.
I believe... I can't tell from here. I think they're still debating.
Yeah, the nose of the buggy looks like it's over the line.
But that was after the so to do
yeah,
drops,
that'll be okay.
You hit an initial break, and
You have
then
to
you have to
release.
release and then re-brake. They definitely crossed the line on the re-brake, but that's fine. I couldn't tell where we're not even with the line. I couldn't tell from here if they stopped before, but we'll
know tomorrow.
They look like they've got some smiles on their face, so I think maybe they passed.
I saw a fist pump in a good way from one of their people there. So,
but that was closer than you want when you're doing drops.
I don't know what a fist pump in a bad way would be, but let's not discuss that. As mentioned, CIAA, the fastest time, the first team to break 35 miles an hour. They got 35.72 mph right there. So pretty nice speed right there.
And that's for a
opportunity
women's
to cut
team.
a little bit off. Yeah,
That's really solid.
It's 10 miles over the speed limit.
Oh, so let's talk about the buggies for the people who aren't familiar with the sport. These are made by the students. They are not made by. It's not allowed for them to be made by an external organization or by the alumni. So they are made, and they can be reused year to year, obviously, because we talk about the year that the buggy was built. They are designed by the students. They are built by the students. The students have garages that they use. And they have access. Different teams have different access to tools depending on who's in what classes.
And there's actually CMU put out a good video. Surprisingly, Fringe let them do this in the Froome, kind of showing what some of those rooms look like and kind of the shops and stuff like that. So I think that's on cmu.org if you want to see an illustration of some of what Aaron's talking about there.
Yeah, and teams are usually pretty secretive about their build process, but Apex, when they formed, was really more about being open about these things, and they filmed their entire first build of, I believe, Phoenix was their first build. So that entire one is out there for people, and teams are slowly becoming more open to these things, as evidenced by the fact that Fringe let CMU into their
But there's
build
still
room.
an element of secrecy, because
There
if you're the winning team, you don't want people to know why you're the winning team and then duplicate it.
Which is why no one knows what's inside SDC Buggies.
This is correct.
Perhaps they never will. Only 2 more heats here in this women's qualifying right here. Pika A coming up next. So Pika B, Pika C, not necessarily, well, Pika C scratched beforehand, I guess, but Pika B, not the morning they would have wanted.
2-minute warning.
They may be able to get
2
another goal
minutes.
right there, but Pika A, one of those teams looking to be challenging CIA. They got 2nd place last year. The doors potentially open for them to do so as well this year. Their second day time was a 2:35. First day time was a 2:33.37 there. Let's go ahead and run down these rosters here. We're going to have Lane 3 is Fringe C. Hill 1 is Tessa Sophie Whedon. Hill 2, Neha Joshi. Hill 3, Orinta Januta. Hill 4, Michelle Bai, and Hill 5 is Shani Tripathi. The driver is Tisha Girdhar, and they are going to be in Bozal. In lane 2, we have Apex B. Hill 1, Isabel Magdalano. Hill 2, Anna Watson. Hill 3, Sarah Hargett. Hill 4,
1
Avanti
minute.
Pandit. And
1
Hill 5,
minute.
Neha Nagpal. The driver, Amanda Vallon, and they're going to be in Firefly. And finally, in lane 1, Pika A, last year's 2nd place finisher. On Hill 1, Emily Archer. On Hill 2, Megan Jade. Hill 3, Erica Foos. Hill 4, Dominique Pitak. And Hill 5, Laurel Perea. The driver, Victoria
30 seconds.
Van Schoten,
30
and they are going to
seconds.
be in Banshee.
And I got to tell you, this is my hot take for this year is that Pika A is actually going to beat SDCA in women's. Yes, that is a hot take because SDCA, I believe, was about 12 seconds ahead of Pika A last year, and SDCA has the exact same team.
And Pika A has about the same team as well. They just switched out Hill 1, but otherwise 2 through 5 are returning, and 2, 3, and 4 are 3-year veterans
10,
now.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready, set.
All right, here we are at the penultimate women's qualifying heat. Pika A, Emily Archer, their brand new Hill 1 pusher, looking good on this Hill 1, making a lot of separation right there as she begins to prepare for the transition to Hill 2.
And really, this may be interesting in the back because Apex B and Fringe C may end up being very, very close in the free rolls here.
Yeah, it's hard to tell if they're just coming up
right there.
Here's the transition for Apex and Fringe. Apex about a second, excuse me, a second or 2 in front of Fringe.
And Megan Jabe right there, really nice push.
Yeah, she didn't go too deep on the hill.
And she seems to have pretty good speed there through there and just kind of cruising. And some all right separation. Wow, a little bit of maneuvering right there by Apex.
Yeah, that's not really ideal there.
No, and that shows the inexperience that some teams have coming out of lanes that aren't lane 1, because normally during the year, you just roll in lane 1. There's no issue with the path there. Really, the only day you go out of other lanes is race day.
Pika already past the stop sign, zooming into the chute right there.
And it looked like it was about a 104 at the stop sign, which is a pretty good time. It puts them with some of the top teams from today. Coming into the bottom flag now. Looking good. Barely avoids the pothole, but cleanly. Excellent shoot turn. And then we actually have some close action going on between Fringe and Apex. So Fringe right on Apex's tail. It looks like Apex taking the more inside line, Fringe trying to make a pass on the outside, but it might not be enough. We'll see how they roll up on Hill 3. It looks like Fringe might be coming through with a little bit more speed with the outside line.
And Pika picking up that Hill 3 pretty deep. Some good momentum maintained as they make that transition from 3 to 4.
Oh, they're neck and neck between
Yeah, we can
Apex
see a
and
back
Fringe
hill
C on the
pass
back-
here.
on the-
Yeah, so it's going to be all about these pushers, B team versus C team, but all in the front. It is Pika right
Yep.
there. And
There goes Fringe C.
simultaneous handoff 3 to 4 right there. Very close on this back end here. Let's try and get some eyes over on Pika A.
They
As
just
it
made
looks like they made their 4-5 transition right there.
And that's looking probably at 2:08-ish. I don't know exactly what the time was there.
Okay, Fringe C is really fighting for this spot in front of Apex B.
And that's going to be really tight. But right now we have Pika A coming up towards that finish line. Let's see what time they can get. Can they take that number one spot away from CIA? Heading towards that finish line. Hand on the push bar.
We have a 2:34.96.
2:34.96. That, if it stands, is 0.01 seconds ahead.
They moved it up slightly. 2:34.75.
2:34.75. So that's going to be good enough for first for them right now, right there. And here we go. This back hill. Hill 5 is gaining on him right there. Uh-oh. This is going to be neck and neck photo finish. You can see all the teams there standing at the finish line cheering. And let's see, hand on the push bar coming across. Wow.
Apex B, then Fringe C.
Just barely half a buggy length between the two of them.
And that's a 3:06.14 for Apex B, and we don't have a time, but give or take half a second probably, maybe less.
And that should be Apex B's team record.
Oh, wow. So congratulations to Apex B. Team record right there. Waiting for that official time for Pika.
Looking
But
at the speed of Pika, they came in a little bit slower than CIA's A team. They clocked 34.78 miles per hour just after the monument.
but it looked like their back hills were a bit tighter right there. Really nice. So trying to get that official time posted. It is posted. Now the top place team, Pika A, a 2:34.75. Fractions of a second ahead of CIAA, 2:34.97. Running down the rest of the leaderboard. In third place, Fringe A, 2:41.55. Fourth place, SDCB, 2:41.85.
5-minute
CIAB,
warning.
2:42.
5 minutes.
SIGAP A, 2:45. Fringe B, 2:46. Apex A, 2:51. SIGAP B, 2:51. For some reason, Robo Buggy is still up there. Robo Buggy is not going to make it to day two. Then Spirit B had a 2:52. In 10th place right now, but we imagine one team, maybe two, will be pushed out here. We have SDCA, CIAC, so probably just SDCA going to be making it on. So it looks like Spirit B just barely holding on right there for your top 10.
For the people on the course, if someone lost an earring, we have an earring at the broadcast booth. So if you're missing an earring, feel free to stop by and we will give that back to you.
So one final race right here. CIAA, Pika A, pretty similar times to their finish last year. Pika A a little bit faster on day one, but both right around that 2:35 range, so just getting slightly lower than that. Last year, for reference, SDCA rolled a 2:25 on prelims, 2:23 on day two. They aren't, going to be in Malice this year, which may make a little bit of a difference, but they still, have a very veteran team and a good buggy.
They are going to be in Bane this year, but with that said, Bane was the fastest buggy on the free rolls over the weekend. It's also the same team, and the rumor that I have been told is that Mary Garrett, the Hill 1 pusher and Queen of the Hill several years running, I believe, is actually faster this year, which I didn't know was possible. So we'll see if that is actually the case.
Yeah,
but,
three-time, according to this, three-time Queen of the Hill.
Yes, so
right
she's
there.
looking to make it 4 here, but my understanding is that she is faster than she has been. But just to go back to my hot take prediction of Pika A winning, the reason. The interesting angle that I find here is about the CMU women's basketball team. To bring a different sport into this, SDCA has 2 CMU women's basketball players. Hill 2's pusher is Jen Mayberger, who is a senior, and I believe Hill 4 is Michaela Flair. They are on the CMU women's basketball team. Pica has 3 CMU women's basketball players. Emily Archer, who's Hill 1, Megan Jabe, Hill 2, and Laurel Pereira, Hill 5, are CMU women's basketball players as well. Obviously, they all played together in a sport the rest of the year, but come this weekend, they're arch rivals. And SDC keeps winning. To me, there's probably something bubbling deep down where, like, they rub it in during practice, and, like, there's all this sort of stuff. And look, the basketball season's over. You've got one final chance. Jen Mayberger's a senior.
2-minute warning.
So listen, Pica,
2 minutes.
if you want to win, like, if you want to have some form of superiority over your senior fellow CMU basketball player, this is your chance. And for SDC, keep that in mind and push faster.
Well, Brian, we need you for the hot takes because I don't think CompuBookie ever came out. Did
That
it?
is true. It did not. We did not have a CompuBookie prediction this year.
Cool. All right, so let's go ahead and get these final 2 teams introduced. As far as I know, this will be the final heat for women's qualifying. CIAC is going to be in lane 2. For them on Hill 1, Meg Thomas. Hill 2, Yifei Law. Sorry, the pronunciation guide said
Turn on the mic.
say law in a Boston accent. Hill 3, Nahyun Kim. Hill 4, Charlie Andresen. And Hill 5, Taruna Imani. And
1 minute
in
warning.
lane 1, we
1
have
minute.
SDCA, the reigning defending champions. On Hill 1, Mary Garrett. Hill 2, Jennifer Mayberger. Hill 3, Jennifer Bone. Hill 5, Michaela Fillier. Hill 4. Hill 5, Olivia Keller. The driver, Kyoko Inagawa, and they are going to be in Bay. This team entirely returning from last year, 1 through 5. All in their
30
same spots.
seconds. 30 seconds.
And all pushed in 2017 as well.
A lot of veteran experience there. Just goes to show the depth of SDC.
Even with buggies, you don't have Inferno, you don't have Malice, so you just throw out another 4-time winner.
Both teams keeping their buggies off the ground.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready, set.
And here we are, the final heat of qualifying. SDCA, the defending champions, trying to keep the #1 spot going into tomorrow.
And I think that was about half a shove before SDC was in front of CIA. And granted, it's an A versus a C, but
Mary Garrett looking to keep her title as Queen of the Hill.
and I've got that as a 1945.
And that would be
For
looks
Hill
like
1.
faster than in prior years. Over to Jennifer Mayberger. Pretty nice deep shove right there. Looking to be going around the pothole. In between them now.
And that looked about 3 seconds faster than some of the top teams at that crosswalk.
CIAC a little wobbly around those potholes, but it looks like they're getting into the free roll all right. SDCA going through right now. Smooth, just flying through that free roll right there. Looking to be some vintage SDCA.
I think that's a sub 1 minute stop sign time. I believe that was around 59 seconds.
I think it was, and they're coming into the top flag now with some great speed. Reaching the bottom flag now, beginning her turn into the chute. Narrowly missing the pothole, but she looks through cleanly and maintaining some great speed. This might take a shot at a 225, 223. We'll see how it goes. The CIA following, also narrowly avoids the pothole, through cleanly. Great line.
Yeah, a lot of momentum on the Hill 3.
Yeah,
Kind of beat the
yeah, Hill 3
pusher
pushers
there.
beat a little bit. They can clean that up tomorrow. Pick up some time.
Transition there, 3 to 4 over to Michaela.
Nice transition.
So here we are, Hill 4, SDC, in position to have one of the top times of the day, the top time most likely. Looks like 3 to 4 right there going for CIAC. Still pretty far behind this SDCA team, but CIAC really, looking like an okay time. Not a ton of separation right there for them, so they'll probably have a time they're pretty happy with.
I got to be honest, SDCA's time here doesn't look like it's going to be all that. I mean, it's going to be the top time, but they're looking at like a 2:30-ish, I think.
I think they might land around a 2:28, 2:29, which is slower than we've seen in the past few years, but also the past few years have just been blazing fast.
And we'll see here Olivia Keller, hand on the push bar coming across. What's the time
That
going to
time
be?
is until they change it, it is a 2:28:31.
2:28:31. CIAC coming across here, so a little bit of a regression from prior years. Still 6 seconds ahead of the closest competitor right there.
And they've definitely got places on the course that they can pick up time. Like the Hill 3 pickup, I think they can gain a little bit there. It's obviously, day one, they gained 2 seconds last year.
CIAC coming across right there.
With a solid 2:57.15.
2:57.15, not going to be quite enough to put them into the top 10 right there. So it looks like Sigep B will safely hold on.
That was about 11 seconds faster than last year for CIAC.
Really nice improvement there. A good number of the teams, kind of the middle of the pack types, have really had some nice kind of picking up on time and cleaning up right there. So it's good to see, not only are there more teams, but the teams themselves are really improving on their times. Got the drop test right here.
SDC passed.
No problem right there from SDC.
I don't think we're going to see a women's record this year.
It doesn't seem like
The
it.
women's record is 2:23.27, and correct me if I'm wrong, that record was set the year the course was repaved.
Yeah, I think so, 2 or 3 years
Yeah,
back.
it was either the year it was repaved or like the year right after.
Right.
But yes.
It was 2 years after, so in 2016, SDC was able to set a record, and then in 2017, Annie Black broke her own records. So even
5-minute
looking at it now, it
warning.
looks like
5
SDC may have not broken any
minutes.
records, but that might be a top 10 ever time for the women's heats.
Yeah. So coming up here, we do have Atlas. We'll be going in 5 minutes, just to let you know. Atlas, one of the other autonomous buggies out there on the course.
So Atlas, much like Robo Buggy earlier in the day,
Yes, I'm
Atlas is not rolling fully autonomously. Robo Buggy, I know they said due to cloud cover, I believe they were not rolling autonomously. Atlas, I think, has had. From talking to them yesterday, the plan is to roll fully autonomous tomorrow, but today they are doing just a standard remote control for Atlas, and that's coming up in about 5 minutes.
So we look here, we have kind of our final official leaderboard minus any potential re-rolls or disqualifications. So the only real, I think, re-roll of note might be possibly Fringe A making up a few seconds. I'm not sure if they'll actually call for it. I'm not sure if Pika B might have a go again. But as things stand right now, the 10 teams moving on to day 2, SDCA in first place, Pika A second, CIA A third, Fringe A in fourth, SDCB fifth, CIA B sixth, SIGEP A seventh, Fringe B eighth, Apex A ninth, and SIGEP B 10th. Just comparing that to last year, almost carbon copy with how finals ended up last year. First place was SDCA, Pika A, CIA A, SDCB, Fringe A. So things juggle a little bit there, but the top half.
No major shakeups.
Pretty familiar.
And-
It's
and-
gonna be really interesting. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, it's fine.
Real quick, between CIAA and Pika A tomorrow, 0.22 seconds separating them.
Yeah.
And CIAA not their best Hill 3 right there.
And honestly, with Fringe A in fourth place right now, and 7 seconds back of CIAA, if I were the chairman, I probably would, obviously I would have requested a re-roll and hopefully been granted it, but I probably wouldn't take it because you're safely in finals.
You don't want to run all those pushers again.
Right.
And if you don't
Top
get to pick the
5,
times.
yeah.
If you if you don't finish the course, or if you that's it.
Exactly. So you're better off just probably, since you're already in fourth, you're already going to tomorrow, you're probably just going to settle for that and put up a solid time tomorrow.
So in terms of not a ton of surprises, but anything that jump out you is especially noteworthy from what we saw today in terms of this qualifying action.
Nothing. I mean, it was very clean. We had one spin. I mean, really, I consider that more of a spin than really a crash, because she just gently kind of nudged into the bales. and
2
everything was
minute
fine. They'll be able
warning.
to use
2
that buggy again.
minutes.
Most probably the driver was fine. So
Yeah, I think the main takeaway so far is that it was a pretty clean race day.
Yep.
And I mean,
we didn't see any egregious DQs.
right. And
We had a couple scratches.
Yeah, and I'd still love if we get confirmation of the reason for Pika B's not rolling, because we'd love to know that. But yeah, otherwise, like from a spectator standpoint, it may not have been the most exciting day because there were really only one or two close events. You had the Apex B and Fringe C were pretty close there, but in the back behind Pika A, who was so far in front. And then you had the earlier heat between SDC C and Spirit B, where we'll see if SDC C maybe gets a re-roll out of that. But otherwise, it was really just a nice day. The weather so far is holding up.
1 minute. 1 minute warning.
It's a good way to kick off Race Day 2019, if you ask me.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, yeah, it's not the most exciting thing, but it's always nice. It's great when you're on a team, that your team finishes, you put up a time, there's limited, and it's great for sweepstakes too, because the more problems you have,
Right,
the more complicated it gets, especially because we look like we're going to be fighting the weather today, and we may not have a ton of time for re-rolls.
But and the good news is we've gotten all of the women's
30
teams in.
seconds.
We know that tomorrow.
30 seconds.
Knock on wood, the weather's okay tomorrow, but assuming it is, we will have a finals heat. Sorry, we're getting information.
We're getting word on the Pika situation.
10, 9.
Okay, we have a full
8,
update. We'll get to you in a second.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready, set.
All right, and here's Atlas off. One of our autonomous buggies.
I think they're working on getting the signal to the buggy.
And this is baby Buggy. So, like, to be fair, he is kind of pushing it like he'd be pushing a baby Buggy.
We did get word on what happened there with Pika. So in fact, that was not Pike's buggy out there. That was actually Apex.
That was Azula for Apex, who was supposed to roll in the following heat, in Heat 7, and we did actually see them roll that later.
Yeah, so that was not Pike's. What ended up happening with Pika, it was, as previously reported, they did not know, in terms of with the crash, what the timing situation was, so they did not get the right notification, or they weren't aware in their truck that their buggy needed to be ready when it was required for the start of that race, and therefore they did not put a buggy out there. Not sure if they will get a chance to re-roll or not, but if they do, that does, potentially move someone out of the top 10.
And it looks like here in this timing heat, we have a contender for the time that Camo put up many, many years ago, which I believe was something around 13 minutes. Wasn't it? Or was it 9 minutes?
Yeah, we've had some slow ones. I'm trying to remember what the slowest was.
How much did that buggy weigh?
Camo? With a person inside or without?
Oh, wow. I'm really picking up speed here in the Hill 2 transition.
What a difference from Hill 1 to 2. This is a course record.
Oh.
Sidewalk.
And sometimes, are they running an autonomously?
I believe that they said yesterday they told me that they were not running autonomous today, though that move there did look a little autonomous. You can usually tell the difference between the two.
It has been pretty smooth otherwise. I mean, maybe they just got so excited with that Hill 2 push, someone accidentally bumped the joystick or however these things work. I am extremely ignorant about science and mechanics.
So
and
normally
robots.
a pusher does not push for the free roll. So this is...
He's getting his workout today.
He is. This is pretty far. I'd imagine probably somebody's going to... Yep, there we go.
Hill 2.5.
I'm not convinced he'll make it the rest of the way. Oh, wait, is it... Oh, did he drop something? Is that a loss of mass? No.
Looked like a cell phone or something.
Yeah,
I don't
something
know,
might have fallen out of his
know if
pocket.
he was planning to push here. Oh, okay. Okay, so, here we go. It seems as though they're having some difficulties maintaining a signal with the buggy. Well, we got a follow truck reversing.
Oh, all right. Exciting noises up here at the top of the hill. Again, a reminder, we have wrapped up the women's preliminary qualifying. We have the men's coming up shortly. It's scheduled for 9:40. It's 9:40 right now, so not sure exactly when that'll happen. There will be a brief break. Again, trying to move things up a little bit today in order to get all the races in before Mother Nature strikes with some potential thunderstorms this afternoon. We're really grateful to have you all joining us here, whether you are listening to the broadcast on WRCT.
It looks like they're calling it quits on this roll for Baby Buggy.
Baby Buggy is not gonna be going there. Yeah, sure. How long of a break do we have?
Now it's in the back of the follow truck and moving, a little bit faster than it had otherwise. Unfortunately, this does not count as a roll for them.
Okay.
No, it does not.
Because
I know.
as we pointed out before, the buggies themselves are not motorized. So when you put them in the back of a motorized vehicle, it sadly does not count.
Yeah. And there is some talk of having the autonomous buggies roll with human-driven buggies. Is there one scheduled for this? There was talk of it.
So at the moment there are two different organizations. There's only two organizations that have it. I think there's been a push to maybe add an autonomous division that at least the two of them. I don't know about rolling autonomous together with people.
But I think in Truck Weekend, one of them was in the roll order, was it not?
Yeah. I believe both. I believe Robo Buggy is in the roll order throughout the year. So they do. Every weekend they do participate just like a normal organization would. I think Atlas still only does before rolls start. I think they do pre-sunrise. I don't think they're in the roll order. But Robo Buggy actually is. So they are treated as if they are because they are a real team, and they are treated that way in the roll order. They opened up rolls today, and hopefully tomorrow we'll be rolling fully autonomously and with a successful roll. There is a course record for fully autonomous rolls. It is 5 minutes and 45 seconds, and it includes 2 crashes. So Robo Buggy will hopefully try to, and maybe Atlas as well, will hopefully both try to beat that tomorrow. And if Robo Buggy's time today was any indication, they can do it.
Yeah.
So
the
we'll see.
autonomous works well. So we have a few minutes, actually. It's going to be 9:49, the start of the men's heat. So we're going to be going very, very soon right there. I guess just to keep things moving, so I'll be waiting for my colleagues to switch out there. Just some information to show you up here. Some great events here on Friday. History of Buggy, Reunion Year Showcase. So Tom Wood, the master historian of Buggy, is going to be leading that. Should be great. There's a Buggy recap and in-person finals auction at House Tap Room, 563 Greenfield Ave. So to see the closeout of the Buggy auction right there, you can go ahead and enjoy that. And let's see, we got some more events to share with you here. Also want to thank Brian, want to thank Aaron, want to thank Jordan for joining me here. There's Buggy Trivia if you download the app right there. We're going to be switching out some of the commentators for men's, but any final thoughts from the three of you?
We're excited to be back tomorrow. It's going to be a good finals. I hope we have good weather. And we'll take a look and see who gets DQ'd and
we'll see,
any shakeups.
And we'll see if SDC can make it 3 in a row on the women's side and continue their dominance of the 2010s.
Yep.
And I'm interested to see if there's any jockeying between CIA and Pica going into day 2. 2015, we had 3 men's heats that were all very close at the top, and they kind of reordered themselves going into day 2. So let's see who's able to improve. And
let's not discount Fringe either. Their time looks bad.